I also did something even crazier. I ran a 50K on LSD, which was incredible. And my favorite thing I've ever done in my entire life.
Oh, a 50K.
That's 31 miles on 100 mics, 100 tabs, oh my God. And it was at Burning Man.
I've never met anyone like it.
He could hack anybody's phone in a matter of minutes. Who is that guy? Who can do that?
Alice is the most interesting man in the world.
He's one of my favorite people on the planet. Inventor.
Wicked smart.
The master of cutting corners.
If you had a dead body in your trunk, who would you call?
He would get arrested immediately in a lineup.
I stood in line to get his autograph.
You know, his mouth can barely keep up to his brain.
I don't actually know what Pablos does.
A hacker magician.
Man of the future. Future.
Okay, so can you describe the presidential fitness test?
Okay.
All right.
So like circa 2018, I decided to take the presidential fitness test.
Do you even know what that is anymore?
I don't know. It seems like a dated thing.
When I was a kid, it was a thing.
Deal.
Yeah.
Like if I hear that beep that comes from, like in my generation, there was a test where you had to run from line to line.
Yeah. Right.
And you'd hear a beep every time you hit the line and then had to go to the next one. Oh. And I have a traumatic response hearing
Pavlovian trauma response.
Exactly. So the presidential fitness test was introduced by John F. Kennedy to try to get the U.S. in shape. And it's remained in a different iteration since then. Yeah. And it's supposed to be like a standardized test of what, science-backed, of what kids should be able to do. Wow. Things like run a mile and like do a certain amount of sit-ups in like 5 minutes. Right. I've forgotten the specifics at this point, but I just was like, well, this is a perfect standardized test that I could use to see which drugs are or are not performance enhancing.
Amazing.
Because you hear sometimes like during the Olympics, like somebody will be disqualified for using marijuana. Yeah. And you're like, well, how does that work? Like marijuana usually acts like a depressant for people experientially, but it helps with like refueling for a lot of athletes. Anyway, so I was interested about psychedelics. They hadn't been studied in this capacity, just a huge assumption that it wouldn't help, which makes total sense. But I figured you should prove the negative hypothesis with some science. So I did the very scientific thing of taking the presidential fitness test on pot, ketamine, and MDMA, and sober.
Okay.
And we showed up to the track. It was not ideal conditions. Mm-hmm. It was 81 degrees out.
Okay.
And the NYPD was training in the middle of the field. Okay. So I'm literally running laps high off my ass around the NYPD, like some sort of Bugs Bunny After Dark episode. So I did them all across all the different substances. Right. And basically...
In one day? What's the... Okay. Oh, 2 days. Well, fine.
Still not.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah.
Sure. But to keep, preserve the hypothesis, I did start off with the sober one. Yeah. So I had no extra benefit to the high ones by going first. So the sober one, I had pretty good metrics. Ran like a 6:36 mile or something like that. Then I tried pot because it was like it's got a easy administration, happens pretty quick when you smoke it. I got really paranoid immediately. I hate pot. Yeah. And I realized midway through the mile, I hadn't put on sunscreen. Oh. And I became obsessed with like, I'm going to get cancer if I don't finish this. Wow. So I stopped to ask the camera woman for sunscreen. And she was like, you'll be fine for one extra lap. And so it was like a 10-minute mile. Then I'll just skip to the chase and say like the only beneficial one was ketamine because it is an anesthetic. Like it's grouped as a psychedelic, but chemically it's not. It's a dissociative anesthetic. And I did much better with the sit-ups, or I did like 5% better because I was like, it hurt, but it felt like it was hurting somebody else's body. Oh. Classic dissociation. Wow. And and then the results are on YouTube.
And you got to watch it if you haven't, for listeners. So why did not why didn't other drugs make the cut? Like, shouldn't there be some crystal meth in there? Shouldn't there be some, LSD? I mean,
Right.
I don't know if fentanyl makes you run faster. Probably not.
I actually did something with opioids, so the larger class. I took a bunch of Percocets. So first I did a sober analgesic test, the classic pain test, where you put your fist in a thing of ice water. Yeah. Totally safe way of experiencing a lot of pain. Okay. So I did that sober, and then I held a plank for as long as I could till exhaustion sober. Yeah. And then I did it on a bunch of Percocets. Okay. And that was incredible. I was able to hold like a 5-minute plus long plank on Percocets. And I was able to like more than double my time of the fist in the ice water. Wow. It is unbelievable how effective these medications are at not changing the sensation. Yeah. I felt everything.
You felt the same.
I felt the same. I just chose not to care.
Oh, that's interesting.
I also did a after hours experiment that's not in the video.
Okay.
I tried to masturbate.
Yeah.
On a bunch of Percocets.
Not in the video. Got it.
Sorry, guys.
Subscribe now. Linktree.
OnlyFans.
All right.
So I tried to masturbate that night when they were still active. Oh. Could not just get through it. Like
Percocet or with which?
With the Percocets, because I was so just like, why would I do this? I don't care. It's so much more enjoyable just to like sit around. And that was actually really disturbing for me psychologically later when I was like, wow, you can choose not to care about pain or pleasure. Like that, these are really powerful.
I think it's really one of those things that, if you just listen to what people who are trying to make those changes themselves do, it's a kind of mental game. At one time I had this experience where these Navy SEALs trained me to hold my breath underwater.
Oh, yeah.
And Houdini's record was like 2.5 minutes. Yeah. Which is incredible. And I'm like, I did 4.5 minutes.
Yeah.
On my first try.
Yeah. There's full classes now that'll teach you the 8-minute whatever breath hold.
And it's entirely about just
low heart rate.
The whole trick is just like telling yourself that you don't actually need to breathe. Yeah. Because people have this obsession thinking that they got to breathe.
Yeah, the panic.
And you actually don't. Yeah. And so, they basically convinced me that, you don't need
for my breath holding experience, I would, so I had to go to Yom Kippur services growing up. This is the Jewish holiday of repentance. Yeah. And it is the most boring 5-hour experience of your life because it's like all in Hebrew. And so I had to find ways to pass the time.
There you go, exactly.
But here's the thing. You had to time it so that, I'm holding my breath. When you stop holding your breath and you immediately gasp, you had to try to time it so that it's during some sort of song.
Oh, you practice there.
Right.
Right.
So that when you start, middle of nothing, somebody in the audience goes, So I had to try to time it, and it never worked out. It would always be like in the moment, let's have a moment of silence. And then like 5 seconds in, you hear this 8-year-old girl like gasping like a fish. Anyway, my record was only like a minute and a half.
Honestly, probably the reason I could do it was growing up going to church and having to be bored out of my mind for so long.
Yeah, it's a great trick.
Yeah, I think kids these days are just missing out.
They are in our gym, and we share a gym. In our gym, there's giant signs everywhere that say no breath holding contest.
Oh, really?
I know.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, by their showers.
No breath holding contest.
And I'm like, wow, kids these days are going to be so weak.
That's hilarious. Okay, so the conclusion for, at least for the audience, is that they should go do drugs, but do them with the NYPD nearby. And do a lot of exercises.
I do want to make one caveat here. Sure. I did talk to a doctor. Yeah. I also did something even crazier. I ran a 50K on LSD, which was incredible. And my favorite thing I've ever done in my entire life.
Oh, a 50K.
That's 31 miles on 100 mics, 100 tabs, oh my God. And it was at Burning Man.
100 micrograms of LSD.
Yeah, that's like a standard.
Yeah, right.
And it was truly like the best experience, the proudest thing I've ever done.
Because it was enjoyable, or it was hard, and you did it anyway, or what is it about it that was different?
Well, one thing that's sort of the most
People who've never run a 50K.
Right, for the like 2 people in the audience who haven't done that. The biggest reason was it was the purest incidence of chasing your bliss I've ever accomplished.
Okay.
It was weird. It was wild. It was something nobody had ever done before. A lot of people have done similar things since.
Yeah.
Diplo ran a marathon on LSD.
Okay.
There's a movie coming out about this guy running hundreds of miles on mushrooms. But this is from like 2017 or 2018. And so nobody had done this yet that I'd seen online. And I just felt uniquely qualified as like a huge psychonaut and a big runner.
Right.
And I remember at like 7 a.m. in the morning, running past the spanking camp where there was a man being spanked.
So and he did this at Burning Man?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, of course. Perfect. There's not usually spanking camps in Manhattan. So I ran past the spanking camp and I made eye contact with this guy who'd clearly been up the whole night being spanked or something. And there was this moment of telepathic communication in my head that was like, he was chasing his bliss and I was chasing mine. And the weirder the better. Yeah. Because when it's weird, then you know it's yours.
Right.
You know that it's not society imposing like, oh, you should love sunsets.
Yeah, right.
There's no sense of that. There's there's just a sense of like, I own this. I know it's pure. And it was the coolest thing I've ever done. And the outpouring of people talking about it when I posted it online was so deeply wonderful to find that group of people. And then the next time I went to Burning Man to run the ultra marathon, all these people were on LSD and they were like, yeah, I saw this video of this chick doing it online. Yeah. And I was like, we should have our own division. Yeah. There's like the men, the women, the on LSD category, where it's not about who's fastest.
Okay.
It's about who had the best time.
Yeah.
And it was just so deeply wonderful, like to see that, and nobody was hurt. I talked to doctors before that too. I practiced with a half tab and half marathon. And it was, best thing I've ever done.
So do you think is there any reason to run a marathon on LSD other than just the pioneering aspect of it?
No, this is the thing. It's like there's no reason to do it, and that's why I love it. Okay. Like I'm not suggesting people do it at all.
That's how I feel about marathons in general. But
no, exactly. Why do it? Like there's so many things like that for me. I'm not a foodie, but I don't yuck people's yum. I yum people's yum. I'm so happy when people find the weird thing that makes them happy. Like some people love to eat bicycles. And
isn't that crazy? I remember that on That's Incredible when I was like 9.
That like there's a French guy who ate a plane. And there's another guy who ate like, here's the craziest thing. He ate like 18 bicycles. And the second runner-up had only eaten like 12. And so it's like, what were the extra 6 about? That's just the love of the game.
Yeah. I'm not going for the record at that point.
I think he did die of bicycle eating related injuries. Right. But I love that for him, and it makes it for him.
Yeah, most people are going to die with no meaningful explanation for why they were here in the first place. Okay. Wow, cool. Okay, well, thanks for that redux. And then just maybe it'd be worth trying to summarize why are you into this stuff? What is it about psychedelics that drew you in, and what do you think is going on with this now?
In my 20s, I had a crisis of meaning, which I think is, I diagnosed at the time as depression, bipolar depression. And I think in hindsight, having the wisdom of being 34, is that we live in a world without religion, where people are not strongly imposing upon you why is life worth living. And I didn't know. I had so much freedom but no direction. And these were just nuclear bomb level technology of introspection for me and for lots of people. And I just found it so meaningful. I wanted to explore it, and I thought hard about what is my voice. And I realized that these were really important medicines for me and so many people, and scientifically like on the edge, but nobody was making fun of them. And nobody was like joking about the experience other than to make fun of high people. And I realized that my training as a comedy writer and a comedian, like I could lend that. And so I do all these stunts. I realize they're gonzo and kind of weird and funny, but I didn't have a job somebody could fire me from. Yeah. I had the time. I also had nothing to lose. And so I did all of these crazy things. I took an SAT on LSD. I've tried to juggle, it's like all these things to measure what it would be like. And I think I'm proud of those kind of contributions to the larger exploration of psychedelics in society.
It's one of these things that, I mean, probably by now goes without saying, but we got it wrong in the 60s and 70s. We outlawed these things, and we should have been researching them.
Well, we outlawed them in the 70s. And the 60s, there was definitely an overcorrection. So like when you think about the 50s, like how rigid that society was, it was hurting for that kind of breakthrough. But of course, there was excess, and people were dosing other people without their knowledge, trying to put LSD in the water supply. Like there was a real sense of force. Yeah. And now there's, I think, a much stronger sense of like putting these in a therapeutic lens that's science-backed, that's like much more serious, which is great. But I also wanted to preserve some of that joy of like the merry pranksters and the people in the 60s who were just vibing off of the joy of these medicines.
And how do you feel it's going now?
So it's definitely accelerated in its like serious scientific exploration, and it's come out from under the shadows. It is Donald Trump, the president of the United States, signed an executive order expediting the study of, and I think classifying ibogaine as a breakthrough medicine, which is awesome. It's a bit of an overstep for executive orders, but whatever.
Take what we can get.
We'll take. I was like, don't look a gift horse in the mouth, and it's incredible. We can talk calmly like adults about how these like interesting, bizarre medicines can help people who really need it. And frankly, psychiatry hasn't had a breakthrough for decades in modalities. We have SSRIs, mood stabilizers, then finally we have a new class. We have psychedelics. And so we can explore that, but it's harder to explore the ones with baggage. Yeah. So ibogaine has no baggage in the United States. Right. Good point. But mushrooms, MDMA, LSD, plenty of baggage. Charles Manson, like using LSD to indoctrinate people. And it's too bad because those psychedelics they have benefits that ibogaine doesn't have. They're less of a risk for cardiac-wise. But chemists are working hard at making ibogaine like perfect. Okay. But here's the thing. Here's the biggest problem in my opinion, with the current scientific and pharmaceutical use cases of psychedelics. They're interested in accessibility. Yeah. A lot of people would say kind of pessimistically, would they want to make money? But I think of money making as like, they want this available to a lot of people. They want a big impact. If you talk to some pharma exec, they'd talk about scale and impact. And part of that means making it cheaper to administer, which means shorter duration. And if you can remove the hallucinations, the better, because then you don't need somebody in the room to pay the therapist to be in the room for many, many hours watching somebody. Yeah. You want just the neuroplasticity that comes from the compound and none of the experiential aspect. Right. But psychonauts for years have been saying the problem is you need the surrender, you need the hallucinations because that's part of what makes the experience vivid, memorable. Behaviorally, you have to cede control. Yeah. And that's a tension. And that's why I think the underground recreational world, which is way harder to monetize at scale, is still going to be vibrant.
And useful.
Because
it's one of these cases where we're trying to just distill out the part that makes money.
Yeah.
And I get it, but look, I think this could go, certainly the pharma industry structure we have now doesn't get us there, but we did make a whole industry out of therapy, which is basically paying somebody to sit and listen to you and monitor you and be with you, and that's become a normalized thing at a scale. Yeah. And we're basically going, by a lot of accounts, going into a world where we don't need people filing TPS reports 8 hours a day. So we think we're going to end up with humans available